Hi everyone, this is Mr Neel Raithatha, also known as the Wax Whisperer. Thank you for joining me in my latest video. This is of a patient who attended with a tremendous amount of earwax, and it was possibly the largest earwax procedure I've performed. Now, it's difficult to quantify for the reason in the right ear. So this is the left ear, but in the right ear, the wax was a lot more mushy and glutinous, and it got suction up the suction pipe and the tubing into our suction island. So it's difficult to quantify by measuring or placing on a tissue so I can visualize it. Now this is the left ear. The wax is naturally soft, but it's a bit firmer. It's holding its shape a bit better than the right. And I just put some drops in straight away, and every time I removed a plug of wax, I thought, well, that surely that's all the wax. But then there was another plug of wax just as big, if not larger, behind it. So it was quite a revealing earwax, this one. And this is just lodged at the second bend junction. You can see on the left-hand side of the cartilage, that's the second bend. That's where the bony part of the ear canal commences and the cartilaginous portion of the ear canal, the outer third, ends. So think about the ear in thirds. The outer third is made up of cartilage. The inner 2/3 of the ear canal is made up of bone. The bony part of the ear is very, very sensitive. You've got the thinnest layer of skin that lines it, less than 0.1 millimeters in thickness, whilst the cartilage portion of the ear canal has got a thicker layer of skin, about 1 millimeter in thickness. It's 10 times thicker, and it's more malleable and flexible. So we're now, this is the latter third of the ear canal, I would say. And again, another huge plug of wax that I'm removing. It's quite wet and oily. And there's still some more wax there. So it was the ear that kept giving, really. And I'm just going to the base of the ear canal. I want to ideally get this out in a big plug. So I'm just hovering over the base of the ear canal. I don't want to touch the bony part of the ear. As I said, it's very sensitive. I just want to hover up. It wasn't suctioning there, so I just went a bit to the left. Just to see if I can get a suction grip. This is a bit mushier, that side. So I'm just moving to the anterior portion. So the anterior portion is the front part of the ear canal. So when we're talking about the left ear, the anterior part of the left ear is the left-hand side, that's the front portion, whereas the back, the posterior, is to the right. And it's lodged in the anterior recess. So on the front part of the ear canal wall, near the eardrum, the ear canal dips inwards and then back outwards again, and it creates a little recess, a little divot, and quite often you can get wax and dead skin that's lodged in there, and it's really hard to remove. And we're just trying to, you can see I'm moving it out of that anterior recess, and you can see more and more. It's revealing how big another plug this is. It didn't look as big as this when I first entered the ear to remove this final plug, but that's probably the largest plug of all. So I'm just mopping up near the entrance. It's a bit sticky and wet. So you can see the recess there. So on the left-hand side, the bony part of the ear canal goes inwards towards the centre, towards the midline, and then it goes back to the left, away from the midline, and that's the anterior recess. And the patient has got a slight inferior recess, so the ear canal goes up towards the eardrum and it goes down. It creates a little dip, a little basin. That's the eardrum. It's nice and healthy. Got all the wax out. Patient could hear, I joked with the patient that you can hear colours and hear grass grown, hear out of space, because it was that much of a difference to the patient. He was astonished by how much improvement. With earwax, it is a benign condition, so it's slow growing, and quite often for some people it can creep up on you. If the wax plug suddenly affected the patient's hearing, and they would know instantly, but this is just a gradual deterioration, and it became the norm. And we find that to be also the case with people that require hearing aids. They say it takes about 10 years before an individual realises that they've lost their hearing, and that's just because it's a slow, gradual, benign process. If it's age-related presbycusis, we call that age-related hearing loss presbycusis, and quite often it's friends and family that notice first. So this is the right ear. Now this wax is a lot more sticky, wet, mushy. So I've put some oil in. I'm just trying to lift it from the back part of the ear canal. So now that we're in the right ear, the anterior part of the ear canal, so the front part is on the right hand side, and the posterior is to the left, so it's the opposite to the other ear. And I'm just trying to briggle this plug through. Now, although it was their left ear that the patient reported to being the worst, I found the right ear much more difficult to remove, and um, for several reasons. The consistency was a bit more wetter and mushier. There's also a bit of hairs here, a lock of hair. So there's some matted wax. You can just see where I am now. There's a lot of hairs here, and the patient did advise that they trim their ear hair. So I've just recommended to position some cotton wool just at the entrance. And when it's matted like this, you can see all these hair strands. It's very difficult to suction because the hairs prevent you obtaining a suction grip. Now, also, when you look into the ear to the roof, there's almost like an attic region there, like a loft. The ear canal goes upwards, which means there's a big plug of wax on the roof of the ear canal. And then the ear canal, the roof comes down, so it's trapped up there. So that was a bit difficult to remove. You can see these hairs, I've just detached these. And with this type of wax, it's stained all over the eardrum. It's that wet consistency. And this is that roof part I was referring to. So the ear canal goes upwards, so you've got a lot of wax at the roof top. I'm just trying to bring this down. At the moment, I'm using olive oil spray, but a bit later on, I am going to revert to sodium bicarbonate. It did actually work a bit better with this type of wax. You can see there's a lot more hairs here. So we're probably about 2/3 into the ear canal, so the entire ear canal's obliterated with wax right from the entrance to the eardrum. So I've kind of got the 2/3 out, and this is the latter third. And just at the roof, you can hear where I am, just where I was. There's a thick layer of skin there. Here we are. So you can see that skin. I've managed to peel some of it away, but it's really sticky skin. And I just want to be careful. I don't want to be, with this consistency of wax, you can quite easily just smear it against the eardrum. And that's what I want to avoid. So you've got to use loads of drops. You've got to hover over the wax, let the suction do the job. So again, just going to the roof of the ear canal, just trying to elevate this away. And just being careful not to embed the suction probe too deep into the wax. And at this stage, it's still quite difficult to ascertain how thick this layer is and where the eardrum is. So again, if I poke and prod too much, I could quite easily touch the eardrum. Now I can just see just to the left of the suction probe and screen, you can see it's a slight blue tinge, and that's the eardrum. So I've got a bit more awareness now of how where the eardrum is, and that's the thing that we want to avoid. Even at this stage, the patient can hear so much better than when they first came in. They noticed the release in pressure when I revealed the eardrum. So again, you can see a bit more of the eardrum revealing itself. So probably the best analogy to explain this type of wax is like wet mud, very wet, thick mud or clay. So I've just put some sodium bicarbonate drops in. Now I want to go into that anterior recess. I learnt from the other ear, the left ear, that and typically, not always, but the anatomy of the left can mirror the right. And I learnt from doing the left ear, there's a lot of wax lodged in the anterior recess. So the anterior recess here now is on the right-hand side of the ear canal. That's the front part of the ear. And if I can move it out of the anterior recess, we have a good chance of clearing this. So I'm just getting a suction grip and then moving the sucker from right to left. You can see I've got suction grip and right to left. Back again. I'm going to go right to left. So we can see most of the eardrum now. You can see the hammer bone, also known as the malleus, through the middle. Now, at this stage, we're actually okay, guys. So if I left it as that, I would have been really happy. Patient could hear really well, but I felt comfortable trying to remove some of the bits from the anterior recess. I've just put a bit more sodium bicarbonate drops here. I'm just using the fine end suction probe. I'm just suctioning the excess drops. So again, we want to avoid touching the canal wall, that's the key. And I'm into the inferior recess and also the anterior recess. You can see that bone to the right, it veers away on the right hand side, it curls away, and that's where the recess is. So I've got a fantastic view with an endoscope. And this is where an endoscope really is in a league of its own. So some of you may know I've also recently developed a new device called the Waxscope. To check out the Waxscope, visit my other YouTube channel. The link is in the description at the top. It's my company name, Clearwax, my second company, should I say. We've developed a handheld 2D microscope, really. So what is typically used up until now. Things are changing now, but ear surgery was predominantly performed using a microscope, an ENT microscope. So if any of you are interested in kind of learning what the view is like on the microscope, visit the clear wax page, because I've created another. You can just see I've just taken this wax out from the anterior recess. I've developed a device called the wax scope, and it has a speculum attachment. So speculum is a kind of a hollow funnel object that's used to widen and straighten the ear canal, and we attach that to the wax scope. That helps the specialist to stretch the ear open when performing the procedure. And the view with the wax scope replicates the view with the ENT microscope. It's very magnified, very focused and clear. But because of the speculum and the nature of what a microscope works, the view's narrower, so you don't see the field of view you do with an endoscope. So I'm really happy with that. This is just all staining. We've used loads of drops. The patient has got this soft wax. I'm just hovering over. I don't want to perforate this patient's eardrum. Just trying to get little bits of wax like this out. Patient could hear really, really well. I'm pleased with that. I think just going to hover just at the back, see if it comes away, but I'm really pleased with the way it is. And importantly, so is the patient. So I'm just going to mop up some of the oil at the entrance. And most of the wax you see on the tissue there is from the patient's first ear, the left ear, so on the right side, a lot of it got suctioned out. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video, guys. And once again, thank you for watching, and remember, be nice and be kind to each other. Take care.